So we have secured the access to this HTTP main application using this OIDC workflow, and as we said, we can pass directly the JWT token to the backend application, but instead of that we can manipulate it and extract some value from it. So we can do that by applying this JWTPolicy that is going to extract the email claim to create this X email header. We need to validate the JWT token when we do that, so we need to define how to access Keycloak for that. So we need to create like this external endpoint with the IP of Keycloak. In your case, you would not need to do that because you would have the DNS resolution set up for your OIDC and so on, but it's not our case. So I just create these resources, and finally I can create this JWTPolicy, and you see it's going to be applied to the label OAuth. So we already have this label in our root table, so we are going to be fine. We don't need to change anything in the root table. And you see we say we want to apply it after the authentication that is performed by the X.policy in priority 1. So it's going to be the first thing done after we authenticate and authorize the user. So we apply this, and by the way, I didn't show that before, but whenever we apply this kind of policy, we also can see that they are applied to this routes that we have here in the UI. And here I am still authenticated with user 2, and if I click here on refresh, I will see that now I get the JWT token removed, so it's not used by the backend application, doesn't need to decode this JWT token anymore because I am providing the identity of the users directly. So the backend application doesn't need to care about this JWT token anymore. It can just rely on this X email header to validate the identity of the user. And we can do something else, is we can now manipulate this X email header. Imagine we want to only get the domain name from this user, then we can basically create something we call a transformation policy. And you see we will apply it to the same route based on this label, but this time the priority will be 2, so it's going to happen after the JWTPolicy because we want to manipulate this X email header, so we need that header to be existing already before we apply this transformation policy. And you see we use a regular expression to say we want to extract the domain name from this header and create a new header called X organization. So you are going to tell me probably that it's not so useful because, why would I manipulate this header here? The backend application can extract the domain name automatically, right? If I give them that, they can compute that quickly. So you see now I have this X organization equals solo. But the reason why I do that is because I want to show you another nice capability that now I can apply rate limiting based on this X organization header, which is secure. If someone would try to set this X organization header manually, it will be overridden by this new value here that is computed from the JWT token, which is securely obtained if you want. So I could do basic rate limiting per user, right? But I can also apply rate limiting per organization now. So I can say I want to create this descriptor for rate limiting that's called organization, that is taken from this X organization header, and I can define a limit of 3 requests per minute when a user is part of this organization. Finally, I also need to I need to create the rate limit policy that is going to be applied again using the label. This time it's a new label called rate limited equal true, so I will have to update my root table, and I just specify the different elements that are going to be used by this policy, and also I define this policy to be applied is priority 3. because I need the X organization header to be created before I can apply my secured rate limiting. So you can see it's really nice the way you can build a complex workflow using these different policies and being able to order them the way you want. Again, we create this a little bit like we did for X dot. We need to create the rate limit server settings to tell which server we want to use, because we could have different servers, different rate limiter if we wanted to. In our case, we just have one, which is what people do generally, which is this rate limiter that we deploy in the Gloo Mesh add-ons, which is using Redis to keep track of the number of requests and so on. And finally, as I said, we apply to the root table this label here. We apply that as a label in the root. Be aware that you could also apply that as a label for the root table, and in that case it would apply to all the different routes. And also if we go to the UI, you can see like much more, right? You have like this X dot policy and JWT policy and transformation policy and then the rate limiter. So if I access my application, it still works, but if I send more than 3 requests, then I get this 429 because I've been rate limited.